Well, good morning. My name is Greg Beischer. I'm the president and CEO of Millrock Resources. We're a project generator company that does early stage exploration, focused primarily in Alaska, but also Sonora State, northern Mexico.
Greg, good to see you. We tried to hook up when you were in London. Didn't kind of work out. Diaries didn't kind of work for us, but we talk at last. That's good news. So where are you now? Where are you hiding?
Yeah, no, I'm back home in Alaska. The weather's great here. We've got lots of sunshine at this time of year, obviously, and our exploration season's well underway.
Fantastic. Hey, well, look, it's the first time we've met and spoken, so I think it's kind of important that we kind of lay things out for the folks watching and listening to this. So you are a prospect generator, not much understood. So why don't you define that for us so we understand the vocabulary first?
Sure. Well, we specialize in early stage exploration. So that's, where we're actually often working on conceptual targets, trying to imagine where the next giant metal deposit could be. Of course, this is the highest risk part of the entire mining industry, but upon discovery, it's the ones that can bring the most reward. A brand new big mineral discovery can increase share price many times over. And so that's what we do. So to reduce that inherent risk, we've adopted a business model that allows us to mitigate some of that risk. And we do that by having quite a large basket of exploration projects, all of which are funded by joint venture partners. So other mining companies, other exploration companies earn their way into our projects by funding the exploration.
Okay, and interesting. So in fact, risk mitigation is really, really important. Having a basket of projects funded is good. But even before that point, prospect generators, you got to look at data, you got to look at information which gives you some sort of sense of what could work. I get the numbers game, but I want to understand, what do you do pre getting a partner on who funds this thing?
Sure. It's a matter of using our intellectual capital on metallogeny and mineral deposit signs, doing that research. And we use a small amount of our capital that's come from our investors to acquire the mineral rights on prospective looking areas. We try to bring in the partner company, the funder, at the earliest possible stage, but very often we're doing the early stage work, sampling soils to give us an indication of the bedrock beneath, using geophysical surveys to image below surface. But always before the drill testing stage, we brought in a partner because that's where the work gets really expensive.
That's interesting. So you peg it, you stake it, then you go and find the partner, and then presumably they're the ones that put all of the money up for you. They cover your costs entirely. Is that right? Or do you have to put some money in the game too? Or have you already spent that? As far as you're concerned?
No, it's very typical in the arrangements we meet with the partners that they're sole funding the exploration work in order, over a period of years, to earn a majority interest in the project, typically 60 or 70% in that period.
But you're talking at the point where a drill bit is introduced to the equation. You've done everything else up until that point.
Right. So, for example, people who have invested in Millrock, we will use that capital, say it's $150,000 or $200,000, to acquire the mineral rights, develop the initial exploration, get it ready to drill. But then the partner company might have to spend $6, $7, $8 million to earn their interest in the project. I would point out too, we are often trusted to be the exploration operator. by the companies that fund the work. And so we actually make a little bit of revenue that way, which helps offset our overhead. And so again, it's a risk mitigation strategy that allows us to stretch out the length of time between equity financings. And so again, trying our best to avoid dilution of our shareholders.
Right.
And I would say also to try to develop a strategy that makes us a long-term, sustainable, pure exploration company.
Okay, that's the bit I want to get to, because prospect generators, it takes some time to manifest itself in terms of manifest success. The pure play exploration is starting to move slightly further up the curve for me. So I'm intrigued about how we get there. I'll come on to that in a second, but let me start with you. I mean, what's your history? What's your track record? What have you? Where's the success in the CV that we can point to?
Sure. In my case, I came up through the ranks of Inco Limited, a very large worldwide global nickel producer that's now part of Vale. Similarly, my partner came up through the ranks of Cominco. But we started this company 15 years ago now. It began trading on the TSX Venture Exchange. And so I think we've proven we are actually a sustainable company over that long haul that it takes to discover a mineral deposit in early stage exploration.
Right. And so give me an example of that where you've done that. Okay. And then more importantly for me as an investor looking at and say, how do I make money? Because, prospect generators tend to remain at a certain market cap for a long time, but there are spin outs and there's all sorts of ways that you can monetize it along the way, which are not necessarily reflected in the share price. So can you give me an example of, where you have won and where your shareholders have won?
Yeah, certainly. I think back to 2008, 2009, Millrock share price was quite low, and the market started to rise, but we made several agreements with earn-in partners. So we had 3 or 4 exploration projects underway in those years. There were some interesting discoveries, none that became a deposit or never mind a mineable deposit, but in that rising market with encouraging exploration results, our share price increased almost 20 times over a period of 18 months. In one of the cases, the project resulted in a joint venture between us and a major mining company. And at that point, we have to start contributing to the project or sell our interest. And so we've been able to do those things several times over. In other times, Millrock will make an agreement, say, with another junior mining company and receive as partial payment shares in that partner company, which we've been able to monetize from time to time. And again, that allows us to be more sustainable by having that revenue that allows us to avoid equity financings and dilution of our shareholders.
Yeah, and you're sitting on I think I read something like $1 million of, I think it's about $1 million of shares. Is that right at the moment? What are you sitting on today? No,
several $1 million worth of shares in our portfolio right now.
Several million being what? Single digit, double digit?
So several $1 million worth of shares in other junior companies in our portfolio, that we can liquidate if we need to, or if there's a strong share price increase.
Right, but I'm asking, are you sitting in dollar terms? Those shares are worth what? Single digit millions or double digit millions?
Oh yeah, several million. It's about $3.2 million today.
Right. Okay. So you've got 3.2 million of stock, which you can liquidate at or near market, depending on the liquidity of those companies. Sitting today, $7.5 to $8 million at market cap. So you're not getting a lot of value for the stuff you're doing. It seems. If you're sitting on a bit of cash, you got the stock. But is it because do you think people don't understand prospect generation or project generation models? or what do you put that down to?
Yeah, I'm not sure what to fully attribute everything to right now. Our share price is low, our market cap is low, and yet in front of us here in 2022, we've probably got one of the most active, most exciting exploration years that we've ever had, all of which is completely funded by the earn-in partners. Nothing has to come from Millrock's treasury for all the work that we're going to do this year. So we're exposing our shareholders to all the great share price increase that could come from exploration success, but we're not having to reduce our treasury to do so.
Right. Okay. So it's not non-dilutory in that sense, but it's still a kind of, it comes back to that phrase earlier, like a numbers game in a sense. Like if you have got multiple projects, the chance of one of them coming off, hopefully, is what you're looking for. Just one is what it would take. It's funded by your partners. So that's good news. But what type of investor would I need to be to get into project generator type company, and what sort of time horizon should I have in my head? Because I'm obviously not going to bet the house on it. I'm not sure you wouldn't advocate that, but no. If I threw something at it, am I sitting back for 1, 2, 3 years? Is that the mentality I need to have?
Very often with prospect generators, I say that would be a true statement. But in the case of Millrock, this is sort of the year. We've been building several years up to 2022. Several years ago, we were able to greatly expand our portfolio of mineral exploration projects because it was a tough time for a lot of prospectors. Ground came open and was available, but then it does take several years to develop the story, to do the early stage exploration, like the geochemical and the geophysical surveys, which we've done. But this is the year. This is the year that the drilling is going to get done. And, every one of those drill holes is a chance for a mineral exploration discovery, and therefore substantial increase in Millrock share price. So normally you've got to be a patient investor with prospect generators, but if you're going to invest in one, this would be the year for Millrock. Okay,
so let's break that down. So in terms of you operate in 2 jurisdictions, right? So how much money are your partners spending in each of those? I mean, down in Mexico and up in Alaska, or how many meters? I mean, however you want to measure it, but I'm trying to understand the sort of scale of that potential upside.
Right, sure. Here in Alaska, it looks like we've got locked in, budgeted, and already underway roughly 17,000 meters of drilling on 3 different projects. The budget is roughly US $8 million for that work. So our exploration budget actually exceeds our market capitalization.
And what are they chasing? Are they chasing precious metals, high grade, low grade? What
yeah, in this case in Alaska, all the main projects have gold as their primary target. Which is good. Millrock generally, as a company, pursues copper, gold, porphyries. We pursue sedimentary exhalative type deposits, magmatic copper nickel deposits. As big company geologists, originally, we know what big companies want. And listen, the end game for us is to sell at a huge profit a discovery we make. We're not a mining company and aren't ever going to become one. Our expertise is early stage mineral exploration, but we want to find that deposit that we can sell for a fortune. So we better be looking for what big companies want, as they're the ultimate buyer for any discovery we make.
Okay, and down in Mexico, what's happening?
Yeah, well, we've got a porphyry copper prospect down there, right in the heart of the Cananea Caridad district, just south of the Arizona border. Great copper country, and we've got an Australian partner that's come to an agreement with us to earn into the project. Some geophysical surveys underway soon, with drilling likely to occur late in 2022. So again, all kinds of news flow for Millrock. We'll be releasing drill results almost all the way through the rest of the year.
Okay, and again, so do you know what their plan is in terms of that drilling, in terms of meters or dollars spent?
Yeah, and in that case, it's not locked in yet, so I can't say with certainty, but it's probably going to be a couple thousand meters of core drilling to test an exceptionally interesting target that's being developed there beneath cover.
Right. Okay. So 17,000 meters up in Alaska. I mean, that I hadn't appreciated it was that much, as you say, in comparison to where you sit today. And what about sort of sitting behind that? Because your job is to go and stake these. Do the work you do on surface, mag survey, whatever it is that you do to take it, get the information to be able to have a conversation. So in terms of bringing JV partners on board, your history suggests, Inco, et cetera, suggests that you want to find big targets, but that's a tougher conversation for you. So what are the projects sitting behind these three projects that are currently going on up in Alaska look like? Do you have a kind of blended approach to the types of partners that you want to work with? Do they need big balance sheets, or is it just a case of all drilling is welcome?
Yeah, all drilling is welcome. We always have to have a pipeline of new projects coming along because, let's face it, as I've mentioned, early stage exploration is the high risk part of this already risky industry. And so, we know that most of the projects are not ultimately going to result in the discovery of an ore body. And so we always have those new projects coming. We're always generating new ones, and then more importantly, generating the partners that will invest. Right now, we've got two brand new projects that we developed over the last year. One's a nickel dominant project, but also with copper, cobalt, and platinum group elements. All the critical strategic metals, battery metal type things. The deposit model is permissive for gigantic, highly valuable deposits. I have no doubt in my mind that we'll have a new partner on that project this year. It's already generated all kinds of interest, and so we'll make another earn-in deal on that one, and another porphyry copper gold project that's actually very close by. So, yeah, always that pipeline's there, but we've got to be able to prove to the potential for or at least the possibility of that great big discovery. And so that's really our forte. The forte also is to be able to consolidate that very large land package. Oftenly it's a patchwork of open ground, small claims held by prospectors, other individual owners. And so we go ahead and make the deals to consolidate the very large land packages that we know big companies really prefer to operate on.
Okay, and tell me what a deal looks like when it kind of falls over and how that affects you, right? So you say you bring a partner in, they spend their X dollars on that, they don't find what they want. Do they walk away and hand the keys back to you? In which case you then need to try and create a new narrative around that and then get another partner in, or do you say, well, actually, they're right. This thing's dead. We'll get rid of it or park it up. I mean, how do you go about assessing whether it's going to be valuable to someone, especially yourselves, or do you bin it?
Yeah, both, and both can occur. So we acquire the mineral rights, we get the partner to start earning in. The typical deal is what we call an option deal, where they can do several years of exploration, but they can terminate it at any time and return the property back to us. And actually, it's happened several times where we were able to find a new partner to take over. There's any number of reasons why an earn-in partner may cease exploration and opt out, whether it's a turn in the market or they just don't see the potential. But in the eyes of a different beholder, they see the potential. But at other times, you have to know when to hang it up, and it could be that the earner and partner drilled a series of 6 or 8 holes. The hypothesis was unproven, and so the best thing to do is walk away.
Kenny Rogers, right? I think so. In terms of when you get a deal where the joint venture partner stays and continues to develop, obviously that brings a level of, I guess, certainty, but also expectation with it in the marketplace. And it's you've been the benefactor of that. What you said, 2008. Saw that happen 10, 20 times. You've also got to kind of temper the market's excitement a little bit, because it kind of does more damage than good by that excitement period in a way. But when it does happen, do you have to take it, or do you take advantage of it by raising additional capital and then getting sort of in control of your own destiny by having the capital to go off and do a bit more of the exploratory side of things yourself, rather than the kind of project generation side? I mean, where's the sort of the extent of the ambition, as it were?
Right. If I understand your question correctly, let's say a project's had success and we get it to the point where the earn-in partners earned a 60% interest, Millrock holds a 40%. At that point, we contribute pro rata to the project. Of course, it's been greatly de-risked at that point. There's a deposit must have been discovered at that point, and now it's the work is to delineate the extent and the concentration of ore in that deposit. At that point, Millrock may elect to sell its 40% at a great profit rather than contribute, or we may elect to convert our interest to a royalty that will pay out over time. There's any number of combinations that could result from that. Often we try to negotiate for a carried interest. So if a discovery is going to go all the way to the construction of a mine, something that could cost in the billions, then we'll have arranged for the partner major earning company to loan us our 40% interest that we then pay back out of revenues and profits from the mining operation.
Okay.
But, those are good problems to have and try to work our way through once we get there.
Yeah, the good problems to have. So it wasn't sorry, the rambling question, but you've answered a few questions along the way there. It was more about, how do you take advantage of market conditions? Okay, you wouldn't want, off the back of success of a partner, you may sort of see a rise in share price, like you did in 2020, right? Like you did in 2017, like you did in 2018, right? So the market's up. You go to the market and say, we're gonna raise some equity because our share price is good. It would be cheaper money than otherwise. And it's a really case of, if you do take advantage of that situation, what do you do with the capital? Or in the situation you described, where you are able to sell your 40% position, should it get to that point, you get some capital. What's the extent of your ambition individually? So we're good prospect generators, project generators, early stage exploration, but that's it. We know what we are. We don't want to become explorers. We don't want to move along that track. I mean, can you just define where you feel that endpoint is and why?
Sure. Yeah. And so our aspiration, our ultimate aspiration, I think, would be to become a project generating royalty company. And I would point to two that have followed this model and had an exceptional success. One of them being Altius Minerals, the other being EMX Royalty Corporation, which in fact is an investor in Millrock. In both cases, those companies were like us, good geologists, working away, doing good work, but then made a discovery that they monetized. They sold it for tens of millions of dollars. And then they took that capital, reinvested it, purchased royalties, and have established themselves now as very solid royalty companies. So that would be one of the ultimate end games for Millrock.
Okay. So Brad Dalton and Dave Cole, good steers of capital, but it like I say, it just takes a while. So I guess it comes back to your answer of what type of investor should be looking at you. You described that, and
right, but in both cases, Altius and EMX, and hopefully this year with Millrock, those initial discoveries resulted in really massive share price increases. I think about Altius. It was a 25-cent stock that a couple of years later, after their initial discovery, was a $25 stock. So, that's the sort of thing that can happen. It's interesting, some investors are critical of our business model. They say, "Oh, you're giving up 60% right up front." But my response to that is, look, we're looking for gigantic deposits, the porphyry copper gold deposits, magmatic copper nickel. I mean, these things have in the ground metal value measured in many billions of dollars. And if we only own 40% of something that's worth $10 billion, we've done our job for our shareholders and rewarded them very, very well.
Or even an NSR. It's all good. Well, Greg, I appreciate you, running us through. Sorry, the oversimplifying it in places, but I think these are the sorts of questions that get asked of project generators, because people don't see a lot of them, and they don't speak to them. Like even as you say, Altius and EMX, they're a long ways from those early humble beginnings, and look at them now. But to understand it is important for part of an investing thesis. Appreciate you spending the time on that one. I'm really intrigued to see how this drill program up in Alaska turns out. There's a lot of meters to be drilled, and I guess a lot of press releases to come out.
Yeah, that's true. And as a geologist, I can tell you they're excellent targets. Some of the highest potential targets I've had the opportunity to drill in my career. And the odds are always against us in exploration, but I think the odds are pretty darn good on these ones. And we're within sight of existing ore bodies and mines, and that always increases your chance of success. But the groundwork that's been done so far has really led to these very high potential drill targets. So drilling's already underway, like I say, on the first project, and one after the other is going to roll out over the next 7 months of the Alaska drilling season, and then hopefully down into Sonora State, Mexico. And yeah, it'll take quite a while for all those assay results to roll out, probably well into next year before we'll have the next field season underway.